Welcome class back to chapter 3, working with text in CSS. This video is for lesson 4, add Adobe Edge web fonts. There are two classifications of fonts, and they are sans serif and serif. Sans means without, okay? So sans would be without the serif, okay? So without meaning like the little hook that is at the end of each character, okay? That is what we call serif. An example of serif font is Times New Roman, and an example of sans serif font would be Arial. Okay, so sans serif fonts again are without any extra decorative strokes, and serif fonts are considered easier to read because they allow the eye to travel from one character to the next. Many designers feel that a sans serif font is preferable when the content of the website is primarily intended to be read on the screen, but that a serif font, okay, so for example, Arial is preferred if the content will be, or no, sorry, I said that wrong, but a serif font, for example, Times New Roman, is preferable if the content will be printed. So an example again of sans serif for the screen would be Arial. When you choose fonts, just keep in mind the amount of text each page will contain and whether most users will read the text on screen or if they will print it. So a good rule of thumb is to limit each website to no more than 3 font variations. Okay, so Typekit, and I don't think they call it Typekit anymore, it's just Adobe Edge web fonts. Okay, so we're just going to lose that term Typekit. So it's a repository of over 1,000 font families that you can use both in web and print projects. Once you choose a font family, those fonts are integrated into Dreamweaver font menus for instant access. Adobe Edge web fonts are stored on the Creative Cloud with embedded instructions in the page code for each device calling up the page. So here is an example of an embedded Adobe Edge web font code. So it's coming from use.edgefonts.net, okay, and then the source is, it's actually source-sans, or no, source is, and then Sans Pro is the actual font. Okay, and you can have multiple in here in the list, and we'll practice these. So to add an Adobe Edge web font, we're going to use the Manage Fonts within the CSS Designers panel. We'll go ahead and add it, and then we'll go ahead and use it. So here's a Manage Fonts dialog box. We get this maybe from the font family selector, or sorry, property in the CSS Designers panel. And we can narrow them down onto categories on the left side here. And then we just simply click on one and give us a green check mark. So we click done, and then we go ahead and back and apply that particular font. So let's go ahead and do so, pages 26 and 27. So back into headings. Go ahead and save no on those changes. So let's go to design view. Okay, so headings in the CSS Designers panel, select header 1. I'll go ahead and click on Show Set. So we're going to change the font here, and we're going to change it to Source Sans Pro. So I already have mine in my list because I practiced this before I did the video, but what you would do is you would click on Manage Fonts, and then again you can use these categories over here to narrow down what fonts are available on the right side. You can also search up here, so I could say source, and it would pull up source code, or here again, Source Sans Pro. I could click on heading here. So if I click on heading, these are the recommended fonts for headings. And I can find it here in my list as well. And I click on heading there, I gotta narrow it down. And there's Source Sans. So when it has a check mark that is blue, it's been added. Okay, so if I click this one and I click done, I come back here, I no longer have it in my list, but if I click it again, click on headings, come back and add Source Sans, now when I click my font family, it's now in my list. So I click that, and then when I look at code view, I will see an Adobe Edge fonts. Okay, the following script tag downloads a font from Adobe Edge Web Fonts server for use within this web page. We recommend that you do not modify it. Okay, you can copy and paste it into other files, okay, but you do not modify it. Okay, so if you don't see your font changes, okay, when you look at live view or you look in the browser, you're going to want to double check to make sure that this is in there. Okay, and you might have to copy and paste this from existing web pages that are using that particular font to other files for assignments. So to do that, I would just copy this, and let's just use index as an example again. Notice where it's at. It's right before the closing head tag. So if I come in here and I want to use that Source Sans Pro, I paste it here for its use. Okay, I can't just choose it from the list. It actually has to be linked. So if Adobe doesn't link it, you need to make sure that you put it in here. Okay, so I'm not going to save those changes. Okay. Okay, page 27, change to code view, select tools from the menu bar, and select cleanup web font. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go file, save all, and then I'm going to go tools, cleanup web font script. So if anything needed to be cleaned up in this line 30, that command would have done so. Okay, it also allows, if we've added more than one web font, for it to go ahead and update. Okay, that is lesson 4.